Ever wondered how game characters are made? In this video, we'll show you how we create and bring characters to life using Godot, from their first idea to how they move and talk in the game. Let's dive in and see how it's done. 3D game characters. In 3D video games, characters are far more than just avatars controlled by players. They are the emotional heartbeats of the experience, pivotal to both the narrative and gameplay. Whether it's a protagonist, antagonist, or supporting cast, the design and development of these characters play a crucial role in immersing players into the virtual world. Here are some of the key reasons why game characters are so important in 3D video games. Connection. Characters help players feel like they are part of the game and care about what happens. Story. They help tell the game's story, explaining what's going on and what players need to do. Gameplay. Characters have special skills or abilities that make the game more fun and challenging. World. Characters show what the game world is like, helping players understand it better. Cool designs. Characters look unique and help make the game memorable. Choices. Players can sometimes change or customize their character, making the game feel more personal. Learning in action. Before you start working with game characters, it's important to create a test environment called a sandbox. A sandbox is a special game scene where you can check how the character looks and how it moves. These scenes are part of the early stages of game development, called prototyping. Let's take a look at an example of a sandbox scene, where we have a path for the character to follow and some surroundings to explore. Starting with Godot. First, download the Godot game engine and create a new game project with a compatible renderer. Then, download the sandbox project using the link in the description. Once it's downloaded, drag and drop it into the resource file window. If you're new to this, don't worry. You can find more help in one of the earlier videos. Once you have a project with a working scene for testing, you're ready to move on to the next step. Asset Library. The Godot Asset Library is a website where you can find free resources to use in your Godot games, like 2D and 3D models, textures, and code. You can easily download these assets right in the Godot editor to help build your game. Search for Adventurers in the search box to find a 3D character asset pack. Then download and install it. It's also a place where people can share their creations with others. It's much easier to find ready-made resources instead of creating everything from scratch. Asset Library is a helpful tool for both beginners and experienced developers. Character Body 3D. The Character Body 3D in Godot is a special tool that helps make characters move and interact with the world in 3D games. It makes it easier to control how characters walk, jump, and react to things like the ground or walls. By using Character Body 3D, you don't have to worry about complex physics calculations. Everything is set up to work smoothly, so you can focus on creating fun gameplay instead. To start using a Character Body 3D, first create a new 3D game scene. Then, add a Character Body 3D node to the scene to make your character. Next, add a Collision Shape 3D node as a subnode to the Character Body 3D. Now you need to define collision shape. Go to the inspector window and select a capsule shape as a collision shape. You can add a 3D model to a Character Body 3D. This model will show what the game character looks like. To do this, go to the Resource Files window on the left side of the screen and look for the right file. The model you need is called Rogue Hooded and is in a GLTF file inside the Characters folder. Drag and drop it into the scene. Now you can do fine-tuning of a capsule collision shape, adding a GD script. GD script is a simple programming language used to make games in the Godot engine, kind of like telling the computer what to do step by step. To add a GD script file to a Character Body 3D, click on it in Node window and either press a small button with scroll and plus sign, or choose an option from the context menu. This will create a default GD script file. You can see the file's code by clicking on a tab called Script. This basic script lets your character move and jump. How to code with GD script. We are going to create a new way for our character to move in the 3D game world. Step 1. First, we need to remove all the old code in your script file. Select and delete everything except these two code lines. Step 2. Next, make sure to use Extends for the character body 3D. This helps you easily control the character's movement and settings. We will use a special function called Physics Process, which helps with moving the character based on the game's physics. We will also use Input, which checks if a certain key or button is pressed. We'll be checking for these keys on the keyboard. Arrow up, arrow down, arrow left, arrow right. Step 3. Let's start writing the code. Every time you write something in your GD script, you need to start with a tab space. This will happen automatically when you press Enter. We will start by using a condition that checks if any input is happening. If the arrow keys are pressed, we will change the character's direction. For example, if the up arrow key is pressed, we will set the character's rotation, turn it in the right direction. For the down arrow, we will set the rotation to a different value. For the left and right arrows, we will do the same, but with different rotations. Step 4. We need to add the character to the main scene. Here's how. Select the main scene. Click to add the character 3D scene. Move the character into view so you can see it on your screen. Step 5. To test the movement, run the scene and check if the character faces up, down, left, or right when you press the corresponding arrow keys. Step 6. If it works, great. If not, check to make sure the rotations and keys are set correctly. You can also add extra lights to make the scene look better by duplicating the directional light and placing it in different spots. Move and slide. The move and slide method is great for making characters move in a 3D game. To make it work, we need to use a variable called velocity for the character's movement. First, we set the velocity with something called vector3, which controls how the character moves. To move up, we set the velocity to 0, 0, minus 1. To move down, it's 0, 0, 1. For moving left, we set the velocity to -1, 0, 0. And to move right, it's 1, 0, 0. We also need to stop the character when the key is released. To do this, we make the velocity equal to 0 when a key is released. For example, if the up key is released, we set the velocity to 0, and the character stops moving. We do this for every direction, up, down, left, and right. We also need to add the move and slide method to make the character move smoothly. Next, we test the movement in the game by selecting the 3D game scene. In the next part of the tutorial, we will learn how to add animations to the character. Character animation. In your 3D game scene, you can select the rogue hooded character and check the rig. You can hide the crossbow and throwable items, while keeping other props visible. In the animation player, choose a simple animation like walking A. This will be the animation for the character. If you want it to loop, you can set that up in the scene, but we won't focus on that right now. Next, go to the character's 3D body and open the script file. Add a line of code to play the walking animation if the character's speed is greater than 0. If the speed is 0, the animation will stop. Once you've added the code, test the game to see the walking animation in action. After that, you can add other features like camera zoom, scene panning, and collision shapes to check interactions between objects. That's it for this tutorial. I hope you found it helpful. If you want to learn more, check out the books I've recommended. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. Stay tuned for the next video.